Welcome to Wisdom Talk Radio, a collaborative community of explorers in conscious living. Our society gives great attention to logical, linear education and training. Information is taken in and processed in ways that are accepted and approved, but maybe not. What if how you actually think, the way you are most creative and comfortable, doesn't fit into the boxes that you've been given? We are being presented with increasingly complex issues that are requiring something different than what we've been giving it, because we no longer live in an assembly line world. It doesn't work. And we need the whole symphony. We need each of us playing our own song in our own rhythm with our own instruments. And that does not need to become a cacophony, which is what we might imagine. Instead, maybe it's the breakthrough that we need. So if you have felt like you didn't fit in, if you've ever felt that, perhaps that you were trying to fit into a system that was designed for conformity and control. Don't change. Don't change yourself. See how your voice can add to the entire symphony. Because without you, where would we be? Well, my guest today has created an entire global movement to connect and celebrate and tap into this symphony for real world change. Welcome to Wisdom Talk Radio. I'm Laurie Seymour, host of Wisdom Talk Radio and CEO and founder of the Baca Institute, which is the home of the quantum connection process. Head there to discover your unique connection with the essence of who you are by taking the quantum connection quiz. We are each designed to connect with source, with that great undifferentiated field differently in our own way. And knowing your own style that includes both your superpower and your growing edge, your learning edge, opens a deeper connection with the universe and with what all that is available to support you. So it really is the secret to creating what you want, what you truly want in your life. Because who you are is exactly who is needed. So my guest today is here with me from the Netherlands. He is an artist of life. It is Perry Knoppert. He is driven by his nonconformist spirit and a passion, if I can say it, for empowering nonlinear thinkers. And we'll get into that whole thinking thing because I had a conversation with him about that. What does he mean by nonlinear? After a huge shift in his own life, he founded the Octopus movement, a global network that has become a mycelium of nonlinear thinkers. His movement is on a mission to get the world to recognize and harness the gifts of nonlinear thinkers. The Octopus movement has grown to include more than 2,600 members from over 63 countries who approach problem solving in unconventional and creative ways. Perry's goal is to help others realize their own artistic potential, especially, and this goes back to what I was saying in the beginning, those who have been told that they can't do something or that they don't fit into the mold. Welcome, Perry Knoppert. I am so thrilled to welcome you to Wisdom Talk Radio.
Thank you, Laurie, and I'm flabbergasted. I have nothing more to say. It's already beautiful.
We're in trouble then.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. This was beautiful. What can I say?
Well, we'll see. We'll see what we both say here. But
one linear thing.
Yes.
I gave you my press document, and it's a few months old. So it's not 2,600 members now. It's more than 5,000 members already.
Wow. Okay, that's
And
a
while you were
big
saying
growth.
that, I was thinking that press kit is not that old, only a few
Outdated.
months. Oh, it's going fast. Yeah.
Okay, and
Anyway,
that doesn't surprise me. You and I
no.
have already had a couple of conversations, but I want to, for our the people who have joined us today, our listeners and our viewers, to maybe start with, how did you how did you find yourself here? And not a long and rambling, because I don't want to take the whole time with that, as much as your story is pretty remarkable. But if we think about it in relationship to rethinking intelligence and what that means. How did you find yourself here?
I think I've always been here, but it showed, and it's, how do you say that? So I'm not thinking about the story, because then the story is the story and it's a
Right.
long story. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm thinking behind the story, and I'm thinking, yeah, I've always known that this is going to be the story. So how did I get there? Maybe through a journey where I've tried not to be here.
What does that
That's
mean?
that's that's a cool one, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
so I've
tried
tried
not to
so
be here.
hard
Mm-hmm.
not to be here. I've tried so hard to fit in the expectations of myself and others, that was also my own expectations, that were created in a linear way of thinking, that this is what I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
But there's always been something on my mind that I didn't want to be there, that I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to do. And to make that very concrete, I've always wanted to be an artist. I just wanted to be an artist, but I went to, I studied economics, business economics, and other things. And my sister was the artist in the family. She's 5 years older than me, and my parents were always like, "She's the artist," And I
So that
applied
means you
for an.
can't be.
I can't be, and I'm not blaming them. No, not at all, because the journey has been absolutely wonderful. But how did I get here? I got here because I wanted to be an artist, but I've tried to do the other thing, what was expected of me, and I started believing in what was expected of me, and I tried to do my best, and I failed. That's why I'm here.
So you failed to do your best. I just want to pick that apart a little
No,
bit,
I didn't
because
fail to do my
people are
best.
listening who have felt that very same way
Yeah,
of adopting the expectations. That
yeah.
is that's how we grow up.
And I
We're either
succeeded,
or we're
Laurie.
the rebel.
Yeah, no, but it worked. I had that beautiful life. I was living in Brussels. I'm divorced with a new girlfriend, beautiful. I was fantastic with her, and we had this beautiful house, and all the kids were there, and the whole picture was perfect. It was a
Mhm.
perfect picture. It was an Instagram picture. It was give me the likes, it was.
Doesn't sound
And
good.
no, it doesn't sound good, does it? But I mean well, this is what I wanted.
Hmm.
And yet there was something that was, I still wanted to be the artist, right?
So when you say you failed at being the best of what your expectations were, what does it mean? You couldn't do it? What does that mean? What does that really look like? Or is it that it failed you from the inside out?
I messed up. I failed because I didn't do good enough. I wasn't true to myself and to others. I
Mm,
disappointed people. I got into arguments with people, even though I was thinking, but I mean so well. There was this
mm,
misunderstanding constantly. And I was constantly thinking, why don't you get it? It's so simple. And yet it wasn't working.
mhm,
And maybe it wasn't working because of me. It wasn't the other.
mhm,
It was me. I was trying to create that picture, and I was doing a good job. It worked. I
mhm,
traveled the world. I lived in China, then in Belgium. It's fantastic. But it wasn't the, that's a cliche, the authentic self. It wasn't. I wanted to be something else. And So I failed for myself and for others. I messed up. It wasn't real. And then things go wrong. Not even huge things, but little
Mhm.
things. And then it ended up in ending the relationship and didn't work well. And I didn't feel like it wasn't, it was real. The relationship was real, but there was, should have been more. And I was disappointing her as well. And
Mm.
I was disappointing the kids. And that's what happened. I did a hard reset. I gave everything away and I became homeless. And I thought, let's let's not do this anymore. Let's do a hard reset.
So did you do that deliberately when you say, let's do a hard reset? Did you intend to become homeless?
I ended the relationship with her and the landlord wasn't pleased. And we were having a double income and renting the house. And I thought I
Hmm.
could do it by myself, but then something happened with my job. Everything happens at the same time, of course. So I wasn't able to pay for the rent, and I went to the landlord and said, "Okay, it's not working. How can we solve this?" And then he said, "Yeah, but you have a problem because you're a month too late, and now you have to pay for half a year if you break the lease now." And that was the moment that I thought, I've had it. If
Mm.
if if this is how it works in life, if this is how we see each other based on an agreement on a piece of paper that isn't even real. It's real in a legal way, but it's not real in a human way. It's how I feel it. Like,
Mm.
you know, I can do this. How can we solve this? And the only thing he could do was getting angry with me because he was freaking out because otherwise the house would have been empty and
Sure. I mean, you're directly impacting him.
yeah. And then I thought, okay, I I'm not going to fight this. I'm not going to convince him. I'm going to let go of everything. And then he went to court, and then I had to get out of my house, and then I left everything behind, and it was horrible. But there was a moment of time that I thought, am I going to fight this, or
Mm.
am I going to say, okay, let it go. This is it,
Hmm.
and that's what happened.
So from there, I mean, to get from there to, hey, I've got this movement that's now got 5,000 people, where 3 months ago it only had 2,600. Um, what did you do to get here?
It started with I was homeless for 7 months, and at one point I was standing in the living room from my girlfriend now, and I said to her, "It's so clear to me. It's so clear." And she said, "What is clear? Tell me that this is exciting news. What is clear?" I said, "I have no idea, but it's so clear." And that's how it started. And
Hmm.
I had it's so difficult to describe, but I had this very clear vision without words,
Hmm.
without an image. It's like,
So
this
I
is
would
it.
call that a feeling. And I don't mean emotion, but you had the sensing of something.
But it was even more. I can have a feeling when I meet someone and it resonates and
Yeah.
or something, but it was everything together. It was
Yes.
it was
Hmm.
so strong. And when I was homeless, I was applying for jobs in the Netherlands. I went back to the Netherlands. My ex-wife went back to the Netherlands. Perfect opportunity to go back to this country. And I went to the government and they said, well, we didn't invite you, Perry, so we're not helping you. And I was applying for jobs and it wasn't working. Nothing was working. And then yet I had that feeling of, this is very exciting what's going
Hmm.
to happen now.
Yeah.
And you can't explain. And the only thing what happened was I was able to go into a house of someone else and live there so I could see the kids again. So everything came together. And then the decision came, okay, what am I going to do now? I'm still applying for jobs. It's not working.
Hmm.
I have this very strong feeling that something is happening. I lost everything.
Hmm.
That's freedom.
Hmm.
So I'm here in this freedom with a huge feeling of energy and happiness without
Mm-hmm.
knowing what it is.
Uh-huh.
So if I feel good and I have all the freedom in the world, what would I do? And then I thought I would set up a nonprofit. I don't want to sell and convince things anymore. Let me create a nonprofit and let me create the awareness of these awesome atypical thinkers, because I was interviewing people that call themselves multipotentialites. And I didn't use the word nonlinear. Later on, that strong feeling was about, oh, I have a nonlinear brain and I live in a linear world. That's what's happening.
Hmm. Okay.
And and I was talking to a bunch of people on Clubhouse back then. And I said, what is the symbol of a curious misfit? And Christine in London said, oh, I always send an emoji of an octopus to people when I had a very interesting conversation over the phone.
Hmm.
It's like, okay, but why? I said, I don't know. Okay. And then Haley in South Africa said, oh, have you seen My Octopus Teacher, a documentary of a filmmaker who has a burnout and goes swimming every day in the ocean and gets into a real friendship with an octopus? And I watched that the same evening and I thought, okay, I got it. It's
These are the
it's
pieces coming in from this
that's it.
undifferentiated field
That's it.
being made
And that
manifest.
documentary about
Mm-hmm.
his burnout, going back to South Africa. I have a very strong connection with South Africa. I've been there many times, and South Africa is always this energy that there's always something with South Africa.
Mm.
And then this documentary is in South Africa as well. And then I just could see the octopus. 3 hearts, 9 brains, 8 arms. That's me.
Mm.
It changes color, it changes shape. I've been I've been trying to fit in, and I'm not being myself. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not
Mm-hmm.
This is not me. And by seeing that octopus, I'm like, that's it. That's why it's the octopus movement, because so many people that I've spoken with are so brilliant and so beautiful, and there lies this huge potential. And yet so many people, including me, have a feeling that they cannot be who they really are.
Mm.
And that's how the octopus movement started. And that's 2.5 years ago. And
Okay,
it's
so that started 2.5 years ago. Fast forward to today, where you've told me that 40% of the CEOs in the world say that they need different thinking. And I want to open up even the word thinking, because I know you're pretty attached to nonlinear thinking and all that, but for me, thinking means only this, certain part of our capacity. In
mhm.
other words, that we have the ability to feel, to sense, to tap into those other dimensions, to tap into what is making itself known but isn't quite there, which is, I think, what was happening for you when you had this epiphany.
Mhm.
This, oh my God, I can't put this into words yet. It doesn't even have a vision attached to it, but there's something. And
Yeah.
so if we open that up, I have to agree with that sense of we need a different way to embrace what is here and to embrace our potential. And if we want to solve the so-called problems in the world, we're going to have to approach it differently. And I think that's part of what you're saying, is that we're not going to be able to survive financially into the next decade without something different. So can you
Mhm.
speak to that? What's your sensing?
Do you agree if I go to linear thinking first?
Absolutely. I don't know. It's not a matter of me agree or not. You're going to do it. So go
I'm
for it.
teasing you. Yeah. No,
Don't worry about that.
no, but I hear what you're saying, and there's feelings, there's emotion, there is vibration, there's your gut, there's so many more things. But for me, it's always attached to thinking as well. It's the conversation you're having with yourself.
Hmm.
Also, when there are emotions and temperature differences and vibrations. So, what I find interesting is everybody is a nonlinear thinker when you're born. And this is scientifically proven. NASA did a research during the space race. because they were looking for the most brilliant minds. They needed the most brilliant minds for the space race to win. Who's going to the moon first?
So it
And they
wasn't
just
the best engineer, the best mathematician. It was
kids.
ah.
98% of the 5-year-olds are absolutely brilliant in creativity and innovative thinking. 98%, 95%. I don't know exactly, but it's 95, 98% of the 5-year-olds. Then they had all these categories with different ages, and it stops with the adults, with the average age of 31. The percentage of the adults that were brilliant in their creative thinking and innovative thinking for the adults is 2%. So that's linear thinking. We go to school, we go into our society, and we're in a linear system. I'm not against this linear system, don't get me wrong.
Okay.
But this is the education. You go to school on time. 1 and 1 is 2. And this is linear thinking. It's like a pendulum. It goes from left to right all the time.
Within one dimension or
One
two
dimension.
dimensions. Yeah.
And what it does is it moves a system in the clock that you can add all the different components to each other. And the result is 1 more second, 1 more second, 1 more second. This is linear thinking. And this is what we learn at school because we can organize things when it's going like this. We can organize it so well that we understand that 5 minutes is 5 minutes and not 4.8 minutes.
So it's for our own, somebody's own comfort.
It's for our own comfort, and it allows us to work together and to create something together because there is a short and long-term explanation on what will happen. You can make a prediction with linear thinking. You just add one layer to one layer to one layer, and that gives you the outcome. And this is what people love because we love to know what will happen next week or next year or in 5 years. You know, these job interviews, where will you be in 5 years? I don't know. Yeah, that's my answer. I don't know. Oh, I will be doing this and this. Oh, and what is your business plan? What is your blueprint? What are your plans? Now, in the financial sector, this is very interesting. They know linear thinking doesn't exist because you cannot make any linear predictions in the financial industry, stock markets. They want to, it's not possible.
Right.
That's why it's so interesting, because if it would be possible to use linearity in the financial world, then it's nothing anymore.
Yeah.
Because then you can just predict, and then everybody will do that, and there's no value. There's value because it's nonlinear.
Because it's unpredictable.
It's unpredictable. Now, what is happening is the downside of being a linear thinker is that there is no innovation, because innovation is the opposite. Innovation is related to chaos, and that's the thing linear thinkers don't like. Because if your pendulum all of a sudden does this, then it's chaos, and then time is not working anymore. So when an organization or a group of people go into change or innovation, you always see that the majority of people get into an anxiety state of mind. Fear immediately. Fear of not being in control. It makes sense.
Exactly.
But now the most beautiful part of all of this is this fear is there because there's a gap between what they believe and what is delivered also with themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a linear thinker, you know what you're going to do next. And you know when you put this on top of that, then this is the result. As soon as there's chaos, then what you stand for, which is that linear pathway, and what the
Mm-hmm.
result is, those two things are different. And
Mm-hmm.
what happens then is that the linear thinker doesn't want to talk about that. Because if you want to talk about that, you need to tap into your own mental being.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have to tap into everything.
Yeah, it's not just mental.
No. And then it becomes very scary. So let's not do that.
Mm.
And now, this is why nonlinear thinkers are so good in creating new thoughts, in creating chaos. They have been addressed in that linear system from a young age that there's something wrong with them.
Mm-hmm.
I have dyslexia, I have ADHD, I think I'm also on the spectrum somewhere. I have many labels. Many things are wrong with me. I'm weird. I have 3 kids. All 3 of them have neurodiversity. And in the schooling system, that's an issue. Because at school, the lessons is we all climb a tree, but not everybody is capable in climbing that tree.
Mm-hmm.
With my dyslexia, I wasn't able to read well or to write well. And I have had the serious idea for many, 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 many years that I was stupid, that it was dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Because tests and exams, I wasn't doing that very well
Mm-hmm.
because it needs to be in line. So at an early age, I've always been fascinated by my own brain. Why am I different from others? Why is this?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So when you're in neurodiversity or a place around neurodiversity, you don't have to have a label for me. It means that you're active with your own mental being. And that's the opposite of linear thinking. And that creates the nonlinearity that has always been there with all humans, but you can't help yourself to be linear all the time. And that creates the pathway, the passage to be nonlinear and be able to embrace chaos
Well,
and
or
solve
at
every.
least not get scared by it.
There's no
In other
there
words,
is sometimes fear, but there is less fear. There is
right. But what
less
I mean by
anxiety. Yeah.
that sense of chaos, people think, well, you can't have chaos and live in society. But if we start to decharge some of those words like chaos, well, chaos in physics means something completely different. And what we think of as chaos isn't really chaos as in maybe we can't predict, but if we take a big enough picture, if we step back far enough and we start to realize, oh, how do I relate to this? How can I expand my own capacity?
Mhm.
So there's the people that you speak to of, oh, you're neurodiverse, so there's something different here. We can celebrate that. We can tap into that. But
Well,
in a way, we're
I,
all that way. We
yeah,
all have to
and
learn.
that's why I'm not a neurodiversity movement. There is
Mm-hmm.
neurodiversity, just to clarify sometimes
Uh-huh.
the way I see that. Um, but I'm not a neurodiversity movement. I'm also against, oh, let's celebrate neurodiversity and it's all superpowers.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's BS. We're all humans. It's not
Mm-hmm.
about neurodiversity.
Which is separation right there.
Yeah, and that's and,
Yeah.
and that's too linear for me.
Right. Right.
And if we embrace that nonlinearity and you can allow that into your life and at least notice that and define that,
Mm.
things will be different. And now with the Octopus movement, our mission, we have always had the mission to have 1 billion nonlinear thinkers together, but our mission statement now is that we solve the unsolvable. And that's going back to 40% of the CEOs saying we need different thinking to survive the next decade financially. It's that different thinking we need because we have AI, the world is changing, all kinds of things are
Mm-hmm.
happening. And when you're in the pendulum of your organization with your managers who can only do this, and
Hmm.
everything is changing around you, meaning there's chaos around you, and this is the only thing you can do, you need some brains that are capable of having new insights and saying, listen, why don't you do this and this? And
Yeah.
we have a think tank. That's what we do. And we brainstorm together with 30, 40 people together all over the world in a think tank. And we think differently. And I think the solution is there because I have a lot of connections within the world of neurodiversity, and they're advocating, and I agree with that. But they're going to companies, and you need to hire more neurodiverse people.
It's coming from a negative,
Yeah.
from a lack, as opposed to there's something different you're doing with it all. You're just saying, hey, the truth is that if we're going to tackle these things that seem like ultra sticky problems,
I like that.
we,
Yeah.
we need to do it outside of that pendulum, which can only go in two directions.
And when we find a solution, we bring that to you, and then you have your management team, and they can embrace that,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can move forward. So this is what I'm saying, that the balance needs to be in linear, non-linear, and we have that in our nonprofit as well. We have the Octopus movement with more than 5,000 brilliant minds, but we also have the Brain Forest Alliance, which are organizations that are linked to the Octopus movement, saying, okay, I want to do something with my company. I don't know yet what I
Mm-hmm.
want to do, but I want to do something. So let me tap into your world. And there's the nonlinear brain. Here's our linear company. Let's bring that together, because in the end, we all want things to go well. But the problem is, you don't know what to do if you're just doing this,
So are you
and then,
finding that they understand that what they've been doing is fitting in with a two-dimensional framework?
well, the ones that I'm talking with and that are linked to the Octopus movement do, otherwise they wouldn't be linked to the Octopus movement.
Mm-hmm.
Some people would say this is absolutely ridiculous what he's saying, and go immediately into the linear stream of thinking. Yes, but you know,
Mm-hmm.
but you need to organize, and you need to get the results. And I agree, that you need to organize, you need to create systems. But I think the starting point with us has always been humans. So that's how we created the Octopus movement. It started with 80 people together, and then grow, grow, grow,
Mm-hmm.
without any rules, without any programs, without any ideas on how we would grow. Like you
Mm-hmm.
said in the introduction, it's the mycelium. It's not a community, it's a mycelium. It's a network of people, and it's growing and growing. And it's organically. We're nature, so we don't know how it goes. And we embrace chaos, so we don't know
Ah,
what the prediction is.
so, but even with nature, or especially with nature, if we look at that, we could, we can, maybe we can't predict, but we can understand it. We can embrace it. It's just that if we try and put it into a small package, we never will. But if we go way, way, way out and start to look at all the variables and all the possibilities and know that there are still some that we haven't tapped into, and then if we get curious about what are those things we haven't tapped into, that's where
You
I
know
find
what's
it becomes so juicy.
Yeah, because you know something, Laurie, it's when you go into nature, you will find that nature always gets into chaos. So if
Maybe
you
we should
have a
define chaos. Would you do that for just a short segue or a short diversion?
well, chaos for me is you can predict what's coming.
Okay.
So if you have there is a YouTube video about this. It's a leaking faucet. Is that how you call that? Dripping
Mm-hmm.
your
Mm-hmm.
your tap, and it's drip
Yes.
drip. You can try that at home, and then it drips and drips and drips, and you would think that that will continue in a linear way because
Mm-hmm.
nothing changes. You're not you're not turning the
The
handle
knob.
or whatever you want
Mhm.
to call it, and you're not doing anything, but the drips are changing, and then all of a sudden it becomes a stream, and then it stops and it drips unregularly, and it becomes a stream and it
Mhm.
drops, and this is an example of nature that when you think everything is stable and it repeats itself, it does, but at
Mhm.
some point in nature, it always becomes chaos, and then it comes back into an organized form again. There is a word for it. Forgive me, I forgot what it was. It's complicated, but
Okay.
it's beautiful. So even in nature, is
Mhm.
when everything is stable and everything is linear, then automatically chaos arises. And we never learn about that at school.
So maybe we could call that change too. There's
Yeah,
always change.
always.
And that's what I find people don't know how to relate to. And they don't
Freaks people
invite
out,
it.
right?
They don't
Yeah,
use the energy of change.
no.
Meaning, and what I mean by that is if we think about change as a constant, then, oh, yeah, okay, something's going to come in here, something's going to disrupt the system in some sort of way. And,
And if on top, I totally agree with you, but if we can put on top of this thought
uh-huh,
also that it delivers something valuable,
the change delivers something
yeah,
valuable. Yes.
something changes,
Okay.
and then we're like, oh no, you know, but it in many times it creates something beautiful as well. And if you all these verbs, after something negative comes something positive,
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
I'm thinking about Dutch ways, but I can't translate that into English because that will sound very stupid. um but there's always something beautiful coming out of that, but we are a little bit afraid to see that or to dive into that. you know
Ah.
Change is coming. No, 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 no. Let it come. Also in your thinking, in your own little bubble, and that's what we do. Our thoughts jump in all directions, and
Hmm.
feelings and emotions. Beautiful. Celebrate that. Allow
Yeah.
that to be there.
Allow that, and get to know how to have a relationship with it.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because in that relationship comes creation, creativity. And I mean that whether that's solving a problem, whether that's innovating a new product, whether that is, creating a painting, that can't come with what we've already known.
Yeah.
So that
And
means we've
if
got to
you allow
welcome that
that
change.
space, if you
Mm-hmm.
allow that space in between, I always say that the space in between nonlinear thoughts. So if you allow that space to be there,
Uh-huh.
then sometimes you need to do something even though you don't understand what
Yes.
it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Sounds very simple. And then we say, oh, I have a gut feeling that I need to do this. Listen to that. That's
Mm-hmm.
use that.
Yes.
It's okay, I'm going this way or I'm going that way. And we explain that as our gut feeling. But if this is your life and you're being very linear, and
Mm-hmm.
then there's the gut feeling, there's a conflict there. So if you allow yourself to think,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I understand my job is very linear, or at school it's very linear, at the university, and that's how it works. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But I allow that nonlinearity to be there as well. So I can
Yeah.
listen to my feelings, I can have them, and I can express them, and I can allow them to be there, so I'm not as scared as
Mm-hmm.
when something arises of change or chaos, or there's a pandemic, or everything changes all of a sudden because we all have to stay at home and wear masks. And you could see that during COVID. Yet
Mm-hmm.
this group of people that were freaking out, and oh my god, my kids are at home, they're not at school, and I need to work at home, it's not possible, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm bored, and it's this is horrible, and I feel this is not working. And yet the group of people that were saying, ah. That's interesting. I
Hmm.
cannot play in the theater anymore, so let's call my other friends on Zoom and let's create something, or right?
Exactly. And so it gave birth to so many new things is the reality of COVID. So
Yeah.
many new ways of working, of living, of relating. And the people that thrived with it were the people that could do that. That could say, okay, this is no longer a what if, it's a now, and let's open the doors. Let's open the
I'm
windows really wide so we can let it all in.
and I'm positive by saying the word COVID, a few of our listeners already get anxiety just by the word COVID,
Mm.
which I
Well,
get. The
chaos is one of those things.
oh
Change is
my
one of
God,
those
no.
things. We
Don't talk
all
about COVID, right? Yeah.
all of that is has to do with how we relate to the reality of life, which is that
Yeah.
we don't ever know.
No.
But it's, that's exciting to me because we have such potential. If anyone listening thinks that you know everything there is to know about yourself, if you think that all the possibilities for you have been tapped, Perry and I are here to say, not true, not even close to being true.
No. Something always happens that changes everything.
Yes. When I was a therapist, I used to see people who, a man would come to see me and say, my wife has just told me she wants to have a divorce. And they were very successful and they had their own everything. And it's like, oh my God, their world has just suddenly been impacted and impacted in a way that forces them either to look inside and to see what another way to live life,
Hmm.
or they break down and everything just goes downhill.
Yeah. I've been in line at the government office at 6:30 in the morning with the other homeless people. And that's an eye-opening as well. I was standing there knowing I'm going to be fine. This
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how. I have no idea. Completely lost, but I know I'm going to be fine. But I saw some people there that were not going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And I also understand that when you have, and I mean this well, but I understand when it becomes so difficult to change that you want to escape. You want to get out
Mm-hmm.
of there.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot be there, and you go into all kinds of solutions to escape your normal life. It was the first time in my life that I was thinking, I get it. I understand why people do this now. When I was
Mm-hmm.
standing there, you
Mm-hmm.
don't want to be here.
Yeah.
You don't want to be here. I get it. You take some weed, or you drink alcohol, or whatever drugs. At least I'm not here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So for the people that are hearing that music of creativity, that music of the creative process and the expansion beyond being in control, how do they join your movement? How do they find you?
They can go to theoctopusmovement.org. That's our website. Can register there, become an official member. It's for free.
Mhm.
And then you get the choice, do you want to swim with the other octopi? And please don't send me messages. I know the correct plural is octopuses, but I
Yeah.
love octopi better than octopuses.
And you get to choose.
And, it's my word. Octopi. I love it. It sounds like apple pie. That's why I love it so much.
Oh, okay.
Octopi.
Okay.
Who doesn't love apple pie? Apple pie is the best. So you can join, be a member, swim with the other octopi, or become a member in the Octopus think tank, or you can become an ambassador, or you can become a founding member, or you can become a specialist or a teacher. We all have these different groups in the Octopus movement. Everything to solve the unsolvable. So everything is about how can we solve climate change, for instance. The solution is there. That's, if you ask me what is manifestation for me is very simple. It's there. End of story.
It's already there.
It's there.
Yeah.
So that's how you can join. On the website, you can also see next to my picture, there's a Pick My Brain logo. So you can find me on pickmybrain.world, and you can book a Zoom session for free with me for 20 minutes if you think, oh, I want to talk to this weirdo in Amsterdam. And I want to tell him that he's so wrong. I love that. Call me when you think I'm wrong. I'm happy with that. End of the year, the documentary will be there, and people can see the documentary about all of this. Beginning of next year, there will be Project 398. It's an art book with 398 nonlinear thinkers in it. And those are people that shared a story, not particularly their life story, but just a story with a picture. I'm a photographer. I love art. I love images. So I want to see 398 nonlinear thinkers from all over the world. The youngest is 6, the oldest is 83. We have people in Korea, Japan, New Zealand, Africa, and it's going to be in this art book of 800 pages where you can just touch nonlinear thinking and read and connect with all these humans. And
so immerse in it.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
And I've seen the first results. The book's almost finished. I'm so excited about that. The biggest thing is our think tank. Join our think tank. It's so much fun.
And what happens in your think tanks?
We do this once a month, and then we create a white paper on a topic. The last topic we did is time. We're writing the white paper now. We just did another think tank about a secret project in the movement. We will be doing something else soon in the think tank, something we find interesting, but we also work together with companies that support us, and they have questions, and we have think tanks to help them. And slowly, organically, it becomes bigger and bigger, and more people, not only people, but also institutions, universities get involved. So the tentacles are spreading out. And that's why I know that we are going to solve climate change. And I think it's not going to be a technical solution. It's going to be a human solution. That's my feeling.
Okay.
And it's going to be right in front of us, thinking, yeah, how could we miss this? It's not that difficult.
Right.
And solve homelessness, solve problems with food and making sure everybody has to eat in the world, and problems with money, and problems with finding jobs, and problems with AI creating stress, change, chaos. That 25%
all the things that we're
of the
worried
people
about.
lose their jobs. Let's solve that. Let's do something with that. So that's how they can get involved, and they can follow us on social media everywhere. Just type in the Octopus Movement and you can find us. And
would you say the website again one more time?
www.theoctopusmovement.org.
Wonderful. Thank you, Perry Knoppert, for
pink octopus. When you open the website, there's a huge
and you need a pink one
octopus
behind you. For those of you listening to the podcast, he's got this beautiful kind of gold-colored or mustard-colored octopus behind him, but I guess we need to get you a pink one.
Yeah, I have a lot of octopi here in the room, not a pink one yet, and this one is from IKEA, and in Chinese, IKEA is Ija, and that means global standard. So I'm very happy to have an octopus from IKEA made in China, what really means global standard. So there's a double meaning behind that yellow octopus behind me. Thank you, IKEA.
Okay. Well, thank you again, Perry, for being part of Wisdom Talk Radio today.
Thank you, Laurie. That was fun.
And thanks to our listeners and our viewers for being with us today at Wisdom Talk Radio, because without them, we wouldn't be doing this. And remember, join us here regularly for more wisdom, discovery, and illumination, because when you find us here and then you share it, because that's what I'm going to ask you, leave us a review, tell other people, because that helps to change the world. And that's what we're about. For more also about how to thrive with your own personal quantum connection, your own personal connection with the field of life, take the quantum connection quiz now.
No.
Thanks for joining us here at Wisdom Talk Radio. We wish you well in your conscious explorations. For more information and to join in the conversation, our website is wisdomtalkradio.com or at Wisdom Talk Radio on Facebook.